Welcome to the RedBlue Pod number 77 already. How are you, Cole?
Uh, Pretty good. How about you?
Doing good as well. I am healing from my really bad cold. So, yeah, I think I will be back on my feet probably this weekend if I have good enough sleep. Anyhow, today is a special edition because Tuesday we didn't have time to cover every TV show. So I guess we can dive deep into Ash versus Evil Dead first season. What did you think of it, Cole?
I enjoyed it quite a lot. I didn't love it as much as other people. It is quite acclaimed, has a lot of fans. So I didn't love it as much as them, but I thought it was very good. So I mean, when we left off though, with like when we were doing the films, and then we said we would do the shows at a later date. Well, this show.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically just to refresh, I guess, people watching the 2013 Evil Dead film. The remake was originally going to be a trilogy too, where they have the second be with Bruce Campbell, the original actor from the films, and then the third has both him and the survivor from the first. Unfortunately, they scrapped that, but then we got this show instead, which is good too, obviously. Now, I will just say in advance that this has 3 seasons, but they were planning to do a fourth before it got sort of canceled. But the third does have a proper ending. They just teased something small at the end of it, hoping they would possibly get a fourth or do other things. So it did get canceled, but it still had its original ending and such. And then Bruce Campbell retired from the Ash Williams role after this. And then they proceeded to do that fucking Evil Dead Rise film. And yeah, we're never going to talk about that film ever again. Uh,
That was a masterpiece. What are you talking about, bro?
Jesus. uh, so Joker sarcastically said "fuck you" for not liking the first three. He's a giant fan of it. Yeah,
Well, I
he
told
designed
him
his whole
I,
house.
I told him we would cover Ash vs Evil Dead in the next 3 weeks. He didn't reply, but that's fine.
Yeah, I mean he's really busy, but yeah, I mean he designed like his entire house almost like a haunted house and with like Evil Dead props everywhere. And he's also good friends with the actor. But yeah, I mean, anyway, I thought this first season was really good. Now obviously certain things across the board in each episode aren't like like it's very like made for TV certain like things and like special effects or practical effects, and that's because they really worked on a super small budget in this show. It was such a small budget, and considering that and what the product they delivered, that's pretty damn impressive. But yeah, I mean, I wasn't a big fan of the one supporting actor, but I kind of liked the rest of the cast. I obviously liked Bruce Campbell. Yeah, he did a fantastic job as always in the role and with his comedic lines and everything. And all the action gore scenes were fantastic as per usual. And just the whole fucking first episode really did a good job of getting you and easing you into it. Especially just like how that whole fucking thing started that stupidly. Like, yep, that's Evil Dead. They nailed it. But yeah, quite enjoyed it. Definitely has a room for improvement that I do think they improve on in the second and third. But yeah, I enjoyed it. What about you?
I enjoyed it as well, and I agree with everything you said. And I will go further with this. Like on the first viewing, I was shocked and surprised to like it because I didn't like the movies. I only enjoyed the remake or the reboot they tried to do like in 2013, I believe, or 2014 ish, like before Rise, like the one with the girl at the end that is the last survivor. I can't remember which year is that, but you know which one I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
The,
I know the
that
one.
was
Yeah,
the only movie I liked in that franchise. So going into that TV show, I was like, I will hate it. But on the first viewing, I liked it. And the only reason why I stopped watching it's because we would push back the coverage of that to actually today. So that's the biggest reason why I placed it on hold. So coming back into it, I was excited. I was like, oh, this will be fun because I remember liking it. And I cannot find my own notes, but I can only bet and assume that I liked it even more because there's only one issue I had with the entire season, and that issue was recurring in some of the episode, but that was the only thing I could pinpoint. Plot armor. People get thrown like ragdolls and they don't pass out or they don't die from it. It's like, yeah, bro, like that trope is overly done. Like we had the same issue with Smallville. We had the same issue with Agents of Shield. So that's something very common when there's super strength. So that
Yeah,
was my
well,
my
I
only
will say
issue.
the movies they had the same thing, but well, not to the extent, but with the main character because it was sort of like a play on like how weak all the supporting characters are in those like horror and slasher films, and while like the main character being like invincible, it was sort of like a joke on that in the films where he can just be thrown around and everything, and it's like nothing, almost nothing will happen, but then the supporting characters, it's like they'll die or get infected pretty easily. And this was, I think, trying to do a similar thing. It's just, with other characters, though, they had to do the same thing because with being a TV show, they couldn't have just killed them off. So
Yeah.
so it was sort of the same thing as the movies did, just they had to do it with a bit more characters.
I I get what they're doing. I get it why they're doing that in every show and movies. I just don't like that. It's consistent. This is why when I write my sci-fi, I try my best to stay away from super strength. And when people get into fist fight and that kind of stuff, in what I write, they are crippled. Like there's a moment where they fight in a staircase and they fall down the stairs and they are crippled. Like they're broken, their bones are shattered and that kind of stuff. And like they struggle walking after that. And when media does that, like injure and cripple the characters, it feels better, I think. But that's just coming from me. Uh, Everyone has their own opinion. I'm fine with having characters that are crippled, but when they feel invincible, it just doesn't add up. And when I write sci-fi or fantasy, if people survive super strength, it's because their their endurance is made different because of gravity and that kind of stuff. I will try to find a way to explain it, and not suddenly, oh, a human has superhuman endurance or that kind of stuff, durability. Like my human, they will remain human, but in TV shows and movies, uh, a lot of character would indeed die if that worked this way. So I get what they are doing, but I'm just not a big fan of that. If you try to be grounded, like I know Ash revealed it doesn't, but maybe that could be something we could argue on and pick apart the show for. But yeah, uh, I'm done with that tangent. That's my only issue. And Ash is a really stupid character that does really stupid decision, but there's a catch. Every other character around him outside of the militia or something, they are all more grounded and like called to reality. So when Ash does something stupid, he gets called on by other character. And this is why I could swallow the pill there because they're aware of that and they don't try to course correct or retcon something. They really tell you, look, Ash has a lot of strength, but one of his flaws is his decision making. He is really stupid, and that's fine. That's why sometimes I complain about character doing stupid shit for the plot. Here I didn't. It's because other character around Ash were like, "Oh yeah, that was stupid. Don't do that in the future." So I gave them a pass because they were clever and smart and aware of what was going on. When it came to story, I think it was well written. There's no like massive plot convenience because the detective is chasing after Ash, so of course at some point they will meet. It's obvious. Uh, like each time they meet someone, it's because they are searching for that someone or something. So like that aspect of the story is on point. So I was really engaged. I really liked that first season. What would be your top three episodes and your worst three episodes? Uh, Cole, I don't know if you're speaking, bro. Oh, there
Fucking
you
hell,
are.
yeah, I lowered my mic by accident. God damn it. Okay, my top three would probably be episode 9, episode 6, and episode 2. And my worst three would probably be episode 5, episode 7, and episode 3. And for my predictions, I guess for yours, I'll probably go episode 1, episode 8, and episode 10. And for your worst three, episode 4, episode 5, and episode 9.
Okay. That was a fun game. Uh, it's rare it happens, but you failed on everything, and it's fine
Eh.
because that's the fun part. So my worst episode is episode 10 with a 8.5 out of 10. The first issue was plot armor on the girl that got thrown out a wall. More plot armor. The girl got sent flying and she didn't die or lose consciousness. So, again, if the character would lose consciousness, even for a moment, it would be more believable. That's why eventually, if I ever have super strength in my stuff, if they get punched or hit, they will pass out, man. And sometimes some people pass out a few seconds, but then suddenly, like adrenaline rush or something like as a rush that wakes up the people, so they pass out for a few seconds and then boom, they come back to life suddenly. That kind of stuff does happen in real life because the body does a lot of weird and inexplicable things. But the sole fact that you can tank punch like that and just like not even pass out doesn't make sense for me. Anyhow, that was my worst episode. Coming in second place would be episode 1 with a 9.7 out of 10. And I will let you guess what's my only issue with that one. Do you know
Oh,
what
sorry,
will
sorry,
be?
sorry. What's that?
Do you know what will be my only issue with episode 1?
Oh, yes. I'm pretty sure it's like the scene in the fucking RV where they're thrown around and shit.
Yeah. Like you got flipped over and it's oh bruh. Like
Jesus.
episode 2, same deal. 9.7 and plot armor, the girl getting thrown like a ragdoll, but yeah, no major injuries. I'm like, bro. So episode 1 and 2 are like the other two in my worst three, and they're all like 9.7s. So it's still like really high scores there. Uh so yeah, like considering usually my worst are 5 and 7s, like this is high quality. So now my top three is quite challenging to find out because I see a bunch of 10 out of 10, and I didn't really think really true. So I will look at into my notes right now, and just based on notes alone, I can bet episode 7 was on my top 3 because it's a 10 out of 10, and that was the conspiracy theorists and stuff. That was hilarious because that was accurate to what was going on like 2 years ago, 1 year ago with the pandemic and that kind of stuff. I'm like, yeah, that was fun. And the fact that these theorists realized, oh, they were damn right. That was hilarious. That's like character growth brought to another level. Um, the second favorite would be episode 5 because the uncle died. This was another 10 out of 10 episode. I'd say the music was fabulous. Throughout the entire show, I liked the music. The action was great. This is a rock solid show. I really enjoyed it. Um, Now, my third favorite would be. Oh, yeah, the zombie. They underestimated the zombie, and here they are. Here they are. They underestimated the demon, and the demon basically f them over really badly. Like with the cop, that's like, oh, I will arrest you, and then her character arc is to realize that Ash is kind of needed for that kind of weird situation. So yeah, that was a very very good season. I really liked. Um, I don't have much more to say. I'm looking forward for season 2. I hope it's on par. And after you left, Gray and I talked about Ash versus Evil Dead, and he really liked the show as much as me. Um, and well, as much as me, maybe less than me. I think I'm the one that liked it the most among us three. So I will give this entire first season a 9.7 out of 10, with my only recurring issue being these damn plot armor moments. What about you, Cole?
Probably give this an 8. Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
So yeah, Gray gave a 9, so he is like right between us. Um, so you had seen the entire show prior, right?
The yes, I have.
Okay. So is the show like maintaining that caliber, or it drops out?
Um, to me, it does. To my recollection, some people thought the third season was a bit weaker before the finale, at least of it, but I enjoyed it as much as season one, and I think season two is the best. But because I think they fixed some of the weaknesses that I had with season one in them. But if the thing is, your criteria is a bit different though, so I say that, but then to you, you might think they're worse because of stuff like it can't aim and stuff. So who
Oh,
knows?
okay.
So I don't
Okay.
know. So maybe that it will like lower it for you. We'll see. Not to say
Well,
that specifically, but just other things like that.
I think writing is really important, and if they take a nosedive there, I will notice it for sure. Like if the story feels more contrived, I will see it. I think, I guess, because sometimes stories are contrived, but only in some aspect that you don't necessarily think of that. But there are stories you're like, oh yeah, it's full of plot convenience all the time, all the place. So yeah, I'm excited to see season 2. I hope it's as good. So I guess coming next, which one do you want to talk about, Dark Matter or Doom Patrol?
I guess we can talk about Dark Matter. I mean, to me, I really enjoyed it. For the most part, I don't think it's like great or anything, but I thought it was solid at least this first season. Um, my main issue though is just not really as much of an issue with the entire show, but just why it's probably weaker for me than it might be for others. I just how do I explain? this is a very I don't know like what I mean. It's based off of a Dark Horse comic. I haven't read like the comics or anything, but the whole sort of premise for this and everything, well, it does, it's not the same. Obviously, it does different things and takes, twists and turns and stuff. It's very similar to so many other sci-fi things that we've seen before. Like even in like the very beginning, like this definitely takes inspiration from like classic films like Solaris, and while not nothing wrong with it, I just don't think it does as strong of a job with all those aspects and with like the character part of it, with like going with like the emotions they go through, and like the mystery aspects to it, than it does with those other movies and shows. So that's like my biggest weakness with it. I just think it does a weaker job with those aspects, but I still enjoyed like the rest of it though. Like I like how the backstory they kind of give for each character, and the premise is still pretty intriguing. I do like the acting for the most part from everyone. I think they did a pretty good job, and I think I haven't seen season 2 yet, but I think they have potential to do some different things. I will say, it does go down some of the old like sci-fi show tropes. But it like with some filmmaking and editing aspects, but it did a better job with it than others, and it was also just pretty entertaining to watch. I God, trying to think. Yeah, that's probably about it. I really have to say, but there are definitely moments where it feels a little uninspired and lazy compared to the other sci-fi things I've seen before doing similar
Yeah.
things in this genre. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if you actually seen that one film though. I'm curious. Have you Solaris? There's two
The
versions, but
the name sounds familiar. What was the story about?
it's basically like this. It's a Soviet science fiction drama film, and it's basically like I haven't seen it in a while, but it's a classic. It's a masterpiece. I should probably see it in my free time again, but I believe it's like some guy just like wakes up on like a sort of spaceship alone, doesn't know like what happened really to like the crew and stuff, and he goes like searching around and sees like clues and stuff, and like things broken, and tries to piece it together. And I think it's yeah, it's a masterpiece, and I think a lot of other shows and movies have tried doing similar things off of it ever since then. And this is kind of another, and in comparison to that and other things to this, I just don't think it does as good of a job. But also, yeah, the movie came out in like 1972, I think, or actually, hold on, what
No, I
was
haven't seen it. I heard about it, but I
19?
haven't seen it.
Okay, yeah, 1972. But yeah, it's incredible. There was a remake of it in 2002 though by Steven Soderbergh, but yeah, I think it had like Jake Gyllenhaal in it or something. But yeah,
So, so what's very interesting, I will, without spoiler or anything, I will mention season two because I did start it, the first three episodes. I have seen all of them. They are amazing. So the season two looks much better than one. And it's not to say that one I didn't like it. I'm just saying that season two, I think you will be hyped about it because they do improve a lot of things. So anyhow, we are in season one right now. So I have a few issues. Number one, some of the dialogue sucks. The team are pushed down our throat like family, family, team, friends, friends. It's not subtle at all, and I feel like each time
hmm
they mention it, I roll my eyes so hard, and it's coming from me that is a huge Stargirl fan, and it adds some of that, but it wasn't pushed down that
yeah.
and fisted.
And it's a shame though because they did a good job with the backstory and the acting, but those aspects it's just really cheesy and lame, and it's like they could have done some really interesting like psychological elements with it and their reactions and conversations to each other, but they didn't.
Yeah, it's like low effort that aspect. Next up would be too many characters. They all feel underdeveloped and under worked. And it's funny because season two they do stuff I'm very glad they did, and season two looks like it has a much better focus on characters. So when I watch back to my notes and when I recollect my memory on season one, I'm like, okay, that was like the beta, like that was like the blueprint on what they were trying to do, and like season two is like the better version with like everything got improved on. Um, so following the too many character aspect, characters are forgettable, like they're numbers, and it's sad. Like Android is the most likable thing, but it's not unique. I've seen many TV shows and movies where the artificial intelligence got self-aware and stuff, and that's cool. But like, if your more relevant and memorable character is something I've already seen in the past, I'm sorry, but you missed the mark with your character. This makes me sad because I'm a huge fan of character driven stories. Character driven stories are very fun. Plot driven can also be very fun, but if your characters are weak, it's harder for me to swallow the pill. Um, so coming next, it's plot driven, yet they kept using the same plot over and over again throughout the season, aka something broken the ship, someone lied. These are like the two big topic that kept coming back almost every week. And I'm like, if you're plot driven, try to have diversity if you don't focus on a bigger scheme of thing, a bigger plan. If you like do the procedural thing where you have something happening every week that is different, like try to make it different. How many times in season one the ship got broken? How many times, Cole? I'm really asking you. Do
I don't
you?
know. Yeah, they kind of just use it to like when they don't really have much to write. I guess I don't know.
It feels like they saved budget there because they're like, okay, since the ship is broken, it will be condensed inside the ship. And it feels like later season of Legends of Tomorrow when they stop time traveling. It's like, bro, we are in season one and you already feel like they're caught in budget, bro. It's like, why? Why are you doing this to me, show? You're season one and you feel like you don't have budget. It's like, and you know me, I'm a huge defender of like CW stuff, low budget stuff. But here it's just like so obvious. It's popping to your eye, man. If you don't see that, you're blind. And I could stand by the Gifted because all of the Gifted had so many powers, and the fact that they were using the Gifted and so many powers. So I was more lenient. I was more like, okay, it's fine if it looks cheap. It's fine if it doesn't look that amazing. But here I just cannot give it a pass because they feel like they try to save money every week. So it feels like a money laundry scheme, literally. And this is coming from a CW fan. And I'm telling you, Dark Matter first season feel like a laundry scheme. Anyhow, I like I hated the show. I didn't. I thought that that show was average. It was very enjoyable. I think there are standout episodes that are really good, but the overall season feels weak. And I will say it was consistent. Like there's only one episode I thought was really bad, and the rest was like from good to amazing. So That's why I say like I enjoyed the show. There are like the low moments and there's a lot of high moments. I like the lore. The actor did their job, their best. I still think the characterization is not on point, but the actor did their job. I I I want to see more of these actors out there. Um, so yeah, okay. I will ask you, what's your top three and worst three, followed by what do you think is my top three and worst three?
Let's see. My top three is 7, 8, and 11. My worst three is 2, 5, and 9. Now, for you, I'll say your top three is 6, 11, and 12, and your worst three is 3, 5, and 8.
Okay, very interesting. So,
I basically just picked all three for the worst where they like make stops or have to repair shit.
so okay, I think I will shock you. Um, so my worst is episode 7. I gave that episode a 6.5 out of 10.
You didn't like it. Wow.
No, my first
I
issue.
enjoyed it. Okay.
The trope of something getting broken every episode make it repetitive and lackluster, as I said. Plot convenience bumping into him. The revenge plot was underwhelming since we didn't know any of the character and their past history. Cannot aim. So yeah, I still thought that was enjoyable, but I was like, yeah, that episode is weaker, and I liked the flashback, the android, and the lore. It was all cool, but I think the execution is where it fell off. Like if we had less character and we took time to build up like the past history between both character, I can bet this episode would have been better. Um, so yeah, okay. My second worst. I'm looking into my notes. Um, I see two eights, three eights. So I guess I will grab this eight as my second worst. So episode number 2 with a 8 out of 10. Telling instead of showing, a lot of talk that don't progress the plot, many firefights, yet no main character got injured or died. So there's no tension. That may be another thing because they're like, okay, none of these characters will end up dying. Like, if by the end of that season we would have lost at least one crew member, I can bet the show would have gotten slightly better, but it didn't happen, so who knows? Um, oh, I realized there's a 7.5. So episode 6 was a 7.5. So episode 6 was actually my second worst, and what I just mentioned was my third worst. But this 7.5 with episode 6, telling instead of showing, lightning was terrible. And that was something that was happening like early in the season. Like some of the scenes, they had just terrible lightning, and I'm like, it's a space show and it's all dark. I can't see shit. It's like, bro, like, are you kidding me? So I gave a 7.5 out of 10 to that episode, which is episode 6. Now, my top 3 would be episode 13 as my favorite because I liked the setup for season 2. I was excited for season 2. And I'm not the biggest fan of leaving on cliffhangers like that because now shows get canceled so fast and it's so risky to end a season on a cliffhanger. But the episode was just bang, 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 bang. Now you really feel like there's stuff going on. You really feel like the story come to a close, and this is why I liked it so much. My second favorite would be episode 3 with another 10 out of 10. I just see a lot of stuff I liked. Um, the memories, the exchange between characters. We get to really get to know these characters. Um, and my third favorite, I'm looking to my notes. Episode 8 with a 10 out of 10. And these are not the only three 10 out of 10. There are others, like episode 5, episode 4. They all have 10s. So I like when the show was at their eyes, that was like I had a blast watching it. But then we had these moments where I'm like, yeah, it's not really great. So this season is enjoyable. I highly recommend. It's not perfect, as I said. There are issues, and like if you really just pick episode, like you just grab one episode and you just watch it, I think it's
Yeah.
good. But it's when you grab them all and you place them on that one bag, you're like, it's not always even. It's not always that great, if you know what I mean. If you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Sorry.
So yeah, like every single episode are really good. It's the entire product that is kind of underwhelming. So I don't have much more to say. Uh, season 2, great start. I'm excited to see more. I think I will give this first season a 7.5 out of 10, which is for me good. Average is 7, 7.5, good. What about you, Cole? What would be your score out of 10?
Yeah, 5.5. It's solid. Yeah, nothing too great, but yeah, enjoyable enough. Um, and yeah, I agree. It's like from start to finish, consistently, either pretty okay or pretty solid. Just nothing ever at any point really great to me this first season.
Yeah, and based on what I've seen from season 2, it got better. So I'm
Yeah.
excited to see the rest of it. Um, so
Why
yeah,
are there fucking kids screaming in the background? Jesus Christ.
kids, bro, kids.
Fucking,
This is what
fucking
they do.
hate this fucking complex. Jesus Christ. Fucking all night for the last like 3 days, they've been just lighting off fireworks, even in the fucking morning.
So I can assume you will never have kids in the future.
If I had kids, they'd be dead. All right, let's just.
Ah! But I can bet you would make it like the perfect uncle or the perfect like
Yeah, I just wouldn't be
guardian.
able to do it 24/7. I wouldn't.
Anyhow, the final topic, the final season of Doom Patrol. What did you think of that one, Cole?
Uh, yeah, quite a disappointment to me. I didn't think it was bad or anything. Still, like I still think it's all right. But yeah, this was just like season three, which even then, though season three was still pretty solid. It it shows they kind of ran out of ideas. They didn't know what to really do as much anymore, and they got lazier with things. And some people started kind of phoning it in. And yeah, this really shows. The first two seasons are like masterful, and then these last two seasons, yeah, really drag it down. Um,
Feels like Preacher.
yeah, honestly, like the production and such is a downgrade. The characters and the writing is still good, but is a big downgrade too. Uh, Now the conclusion to this season, I'll say, is satisfying. And like what the whole season's like about. And and with like I would say mortality and everything, I say it's you know pretty good there. But yeah, the beginning I definitely wasn't a fan of the first half. Really kind of sucked to me, but yeah, this has some of like the weakest episodes in the entire
Show.
show's history. Yeah, this
Yeah.
God. like it
Even among
does.
all of the shows we covered, like some of the episodes this season were terrible, man.
Yeah, really terrible, and especially like those one episodes I told you about. Yeah, they good fucking lord. Like it does still do some weird things and stuff, but it's like we've kind of seen it all before. It's nothing shocking anymore. It's like uh, it just goddamn. I don't know. I still like like some of the main characters that they that they in this season, but some of the other characters, just like last season, I just did not care for. I did not really care for Jane this season. But yeah, I mean, my top three episodes, I guess, would probably be. I think it had a good finale, so I'll give it. I'll say 12. That was the one thing it did right. I think the finale was really good. Um, and then I'll also say I'll say both 11 and 12. Might as well. I'll say that, and then my third would probably be uh 3, which was I believe Nostalgia Patrol or something, and then my worst 3 would be 4, 7, and 9. And for my predictions, I'm gonna say that as the same thing, 4, 7, and 9, because I think everybody just fucking hates those episodes, and for good reason. And then for your favorite, I'll say 5. Yeah, 5, 8, and 12. I'll say.
Okay, I gotta say, I don't understand why 7 is so hated, but I like your guess because you're right on 2 of the 3 worsts.
Why did you hate like 6 more or something?
Actually, 6 and 7 are some of my favorite, bro.
Really? Fuck.
Like, I look at my notes right now, and I see bunch of 10s, but I also see bunch of like 7, 6, 3.
Damn.
It's
Well, I
like,
mean, maybe we. Okay. Well, I'm guessing
it's
some of
a
the early
mess.
ones. One of the early ones will probably be like one of your least favorite because you were talking about how the season's disappointing so far.
Yeah, so as I said, you got 2 of my 3 worst, which is 4 and
Yeah.
maybe not 4 actually, I don't know.
Actually, I think it was. I think 4 and 9.
9 is clearly the worst. 9 is so disgusting. Why does this shit exist? This is how bad 9 was. Actually, so my worst 3 is episode 1, followed by, well, actually episode 9 is rock bottom. Let's all like agree on that. Episode 9 is rock bottom for the show, and like among like top 20 worst episode we covered in this show, or like any show we covered ever. So 9 with a 3.5 out of 10. Weak musical, humor doesn't land. More annoying musical, it's back to back, no time to breathe. Not funny, not funny, not funny. More useless musical, more eye rolling moments, more cringe. The villain is as one dimensional as ever, despite them trying so hard to flesh her out. 3.5 out of 10, which is really low. For me, it's like awful. It's like almost rock bottom. Like, it's almost on par with that shitty episode everyone hated in like Resident Alien Season 2. Um, but I think I would actually watch that shitty episode on Resident Alien over this. This how bad this one was. Um, so my second worst would be looking to my notes, and I can only bet it's episode 1. Yeah, okay, episode 1. It has a 7 out of 10. Pacing, humor doesn't end well, cannot aim, not funny, not funny, singing party. They didn't address the memory loss created by time travel, Even if they did in season 3, they should address it again since it's a new season. So remember in season 3, they were like, "Oh yeah, when you time travel, you lose memory." And this has also used some kind of meme and joke where when Rita traveled, she left like post-its, so she remembered, but then she forgot that she had post-its to tell her to remember. So when she comes in, despite the post-its, she forgot her purpose there, and that was hilarious. So now this season they can just time travel, no consequence whatsoever. So I'm like, okay, this is crap. This is lazy. Like, this feels like Legends of Tomorrow all over again. Like when they broke their own rule and they forgot their own rule ever existed. This is bad. Um, so yeah, this is the first issue. Well, okay, so uh, coming in third place. I'm looking into my notes. You see a lot of eight. And I think episode 4 takes the cake there. Um, so that's my third worst with a 8 out of 10. My first issue filler at 95%. Telling instead of showing musical. So this episode, as much as I like the new character they introduced, this episode was filler. That character they introduced just served as a love interest for Jane in the end. She was just a plot device. She wasn't a character of her own. And I think it's very lazy coming from these people making this show because this show strength was characterization in the first two seasons. Like season 2 is in my top 5 favorite season ever in any show. It was a solid 10 out of 10. So when I see season 3 happening, I'm like, okay, can forgive you. You had a great second season. But then I see this season, and I'm like, you have many good episodes, but you have bad episodes, and on top of that, your season is a disappointment. It's not as good as season 3, which was already low, and it's leaps and jumps far from what it used to be with season 2 and 1. I just don't know what it. Maybe they knew that was the last season and they gave up. They were like, "That's last season. Season 3 was poorly received. This season will be poorly received."
Yep.
So they just dropped the ball. They were like, "Okay, yeah, we are out."
It's unfortunate. It's really sad, but the actors still tried their best. But yeah, it's. I mean, what's your rating for it?
I'm not done yet. I
Oh,
only talked about my worst 3, bro.
yeah. Sorry, I was zoning out a little bit. God fucking damn it.
So now my top 3 is episode 11 is my favorite. Best episode the season feels like season 1 and 2 vibe. Props on episode 11. Um, Second favorite. I'm looking at my notes. I see a bunch of tens. That's why I say like they're really good episodes, but then they're bad ones. Episode 5 because it was heavily focused on Larry, and I liked Larry as a character. I think Larry in the end, like Larry, Cliff, and like Jane are like my top 3 character in the show. Um, Rita, I don't give a crap. Um, and the new girl they introduced last season, I still don't know her name. She shapeshift. Vic was cool, but he was nowhere near like um, Cliff, Larry, and Jane. But yeah, Vic had some great moment this season. Like the growth he got and him now accepting Cyborg is now coming full circle and saying now he is both Cyborg and Vic because he tried to be Vic and it kind of failed. This was amazing characterization. I think Vic is the one that got the most growth with this season. Cliff also got growth because Cliff at that point is like, oh yeah, I will stop placing the world before my family, and now I will just try to join my family. That was endearing. Cliff, bro, you had like a life of struggle, but your life ended the way it should end. Like in your family's arm, like you could even see like the end of your grandson life and stuff. That was endearing, man. So 11, 5 are two of my favorites, and my third favorite would be maybe another 10 somewhere in the latter part. Episode 7. Episode 7 was really cool. I liked it. Um, so, yeah, we are in the bulk in the meat. I got so many issues with the entire season. Issue number 1, the humor failed a lot throughout the season. Weak, one dimensional main villain despite trying hard to flesh her out. And this got under my skin. In the first 3 seasons, the villain were not that great. Well, actually, season 3 had the best villain the show had, if I remember correctly. Uh, but here they tried so hard to flesh her out, to make her stand out, to make her better than the others. But they failed because she's one dimensional. She's just a narcissist that loses her shit when people go against her. So it's like, bruh, what's that characterization? It's that's her character, narcissist. That's it, character trait, and that drives her at every single move because narcissist. Um, Next up would be way too many musical numbers that don't really add anything to the story. And I remember in season 2, maybe season 1, but maybe more 2 than 1, we had musical numbers and I enjoyed the crap out of them. I just think this season they felt like cringe eye rolling stuff just for the sake of being cringe eye rolling one last time. So yeah. Um so episode 4 was filler at 95%. So this means this season could have been like 11 episodes and not 12. Um the season wasn't consistent. We had great and bad episodes. Some of the writing sucked, aka time travel. This I've already mentioned it. Um, so I will say this: these are my issues. Still have a few great thing about it to say. The theme of death and accepting it and it being part of life. I'm on board. I like the message, the theme. It was well written, well made in this show. It was the standout thing about this season. Cyborg is also another standout thing that I really liked. He is still not my favorite character in the show, but he is most likely fourth place. Not that far behind like Larry, Jane, and Cliff. Um, the season had a lot of great moments and a lot of main moments. The show still went on a bang with an amazing ending despite having an overall much weaker season than past season. What would you think of what I just said?
Yeah, I agree. Still good there.
I think what led up to that ending was weak, but the ending itself was perfect.
Yeah, I think the last 2 episodes are just really great.
Yeah, and I think the way they closed off everything and how the show ended is like the best way you could do it.
Yeah. So honestly, like I think like I would recommend to anyone like watching this show. I would say watch the first 2 seasons. Watch 3 if you want, but with 4, just only watch the last 2.
But yeah, like I wouldn't be that harsh because 3, even if it was a step down, I still think it's worth watching. It's just not as good as 1 and 2. And when it comes to 4, Good luck. Like the teams are good. Like I look right now. We talked. I urge your take on it, and I feel like I was too generous with my score I gave. So I actually knocked off an entire point because I felt like I was too generous after we talked. So for me, this entire season is worth a 6 out of 10. What about you, Cole?
Hmm. Yeah, I'd probably give it a 5 out of 10. Uh, and I think I'm being a bit generous there, but yeah. And for the entire show,
Yeah.
uh, I'd probably give this. I don't think 3 drags it down that much. 4 definitely does, but with how masterful the other 2 seasons are, I'm still gonna give it around an 8.5.
And that's funny because I think I will give the same 8.5 because the first two seasons are rock solid for me. And season 3 is a downgrade, but it doesn't drag it that much. What really drags a lot is um, season 4. Like, if we only considered the first 3 seasons, I think I would give the show maybe a 9. But just because season 4 happened, I knocked off an entire point 5. And I
Yeah,
said
if we
it,
ignore it, then yeah, I would give it a 9.
and I said it like I like how they ended the show. It's amazing. It's wonderful, but it's the lead up to it. It's the building blocks they use that are
Hmm.
shaky and not good enough. And it's sad. It still went out on a bang. And anyone who wants a season 5, guys, you don't know what you're asking
Yeah,
for.
it's like they already kind of did everything anyway. It's like I don't know why they would want it to continue. Like I don't know. Like I haven't read the comics or anything really, so I don't know like if how do I say like if there's like more they could have done there story wise, kind of like what they how there's more they could have still done with the Shazam films with like certain villains, but I mean the ideas for this show though they went through them all by halfway through like season 3. Like the season 4 shouldn't have even really happened. Honestly, I would have taken like a film instead to close it off instead of another season.
Yeah, that makes sense. I agree with you. Like that season wasn't justified. Season 4 wasn't justified, and it's rare I say that for last season of shows. Smallville, the last season was justified. Arrow, it was justified. Well, not maybe not that much. So maybe Arrow is in the same bandwagon, but Arrow last season was clearly better than this. There's no
Hmm.
argument to be made there. Like Arrow went out on a bigger bang than this. Um, Titan, well, it got canceled, so it's a bit unfair there. But like Stargirl last season was the best. Um, so yeah,
I mean, do
I
you think Umbrella Academy will do a better job with their last season than this?
to be honest, no. Like they went bankrupt in terms of ideas. Like season 1 was the best. I still stand by it. It was a good season. Season 2 was a step down, but it was still enjoyable. It was still average. Season 3 was just bad. How can
Hmm.
someone like this show after watching season 3? It boggles my mind. I don't get it. Like, if you went out of ideas after finishing one season, how can you make it work? And the premise of season 1, 2, and 3 were all about saving the world because you're superheroes and you have powers. Season 4, they don't have powers anymore because they wanted to cut budget, I guess. So how will they make it believable that these incompetent are able to save the world? I don't know. To be honest, I'm not looking forward for Umbrella Academy last season, and it's a shame because it started off great. And I still think, despite my issues with later seasons, the actors still did their job. So it's really the writers that are to blame for Umbrella Academy. Uh, it's rare a show where I blame everyone involved. It's very rare. I think they don't exist that often. Uh, yeah. So Umbrella Academy, my, do we have a release date for that?
I don't think so, but check quickly. I like they just said like early 2024. I don't think they gave an official one yet. If I had to guess, maybe like around March or something.
But
Um,
because of the strike, we can only assume it delays it for
yeah,
sure.
maybe it delayed it. Okay, so yeah, there is no okay. Well, recently they just they released a trailer for it a month ago on Netflix by on YouTube apparently. Um, but still no official release date. But there are okay. So people say based off of like patterns and everything else with the show's history, it will probably be June or July.
Yeah. Well, that will be around when they start working on Superman and Lois season 4, which will be the last season. It's sad to see Superman and Lois go, bro. Like that show was amazing. At least we get a proper ending and not like a cancellation and shit. Um so yeah, I'm looking forward for like Dark Matter season 2 and Ash versus Evil Dead season 2. We are back at doing some Black Mirror next week.
Yep. So we'll just do two per week, I guess. So that should be easy. Hopefully. I will
Yeah.
say I will say though, I have been rewatching the episodes now, and yeah, five was really weak to me. Like it wasn't bad or anything. It didn't do anything bad. It's just similar to Dark Matter. It's basically that. It's just like we've seen that type of thing done millions of times before, and it does nothing surprising or different. And you just watch it, and then you immediately forget everything. At least to me. But maybe you'll like it more. But yeah, see how those go, and then yeah, we changed one of the movies last minute because the other one is only in foreign language, which I don't know. Maybe in the future, maybe we'll watch it still, but if you can handle it. But that
No, I
subtitles, if
can't.
not,
If it's
yeah.
subtitle, I can't handle it. I'm sorry, bro.
Well, I will
Like,
say, there isn't like too much talking in it. Really, it's mainly like a lot, like a visual thing. Honestly, a lot of visual storytelling in it. There's mainly like some talking in the beginning, mostly in like the first 20 minutes, and then there's some talking near the very end. But everything else, honestly, don't even need to pay that much attention to. But yeah, well, I don't know, whatever. So we changed it though. So yeah, the new like I don't know if you've seen Hayao Miyazaki's other films, but it's his newest.
I haven't.
Or
Um,
like you haven't seen stuff like Princess Mononoke and Spirited Away, really?
I heard about both, but I haven't seen these two.
Wow.
So maybe you could add them eventually.
Yeah, yeah, in the future maybe. But
Very soon we will need the full schedule for January, my friend.
yeah, yeah. I'll post more days, I guess, for it. I'm more so just yeah, on the 23rd is when the official things get announced for like the film norm. So then we'll have more of a clear idea on specific things, I guess, more. But
Yeah.
until then, yeah, just like for the 23rd, if you have any recommendations for films you wanted to watch that came out in 2023 that we haven't reviewed yet and isn't on the schedule yet, that is out
February.
usually,
That will
then
go
yeah,
to February. Yeah. And
yeah, then let me know.
Don't forget Lucifer season 3 once we get into it, separated in two because there's no way we watch 26
Oh right,
episodes.
yeah, I completely forgot that it's that long. But yeah, if I forget when I'm writing it, then just let me know in DMs and I'll
Yeah.
edit it quickly. But yeah,
Yeah.
I'm curious. So that one, so it will be your first Miyazaki film, but also a Studio Ghibli film, probably, unless you've seen some of their others that aren't by him. But I'm just curious. So it's on your theater list, and the dub version of it. Is it
Yeah.
a English dub or a French dub?
French one, and I'm
Uh
fine with it.
I
It's
was gonna say a little unfortunate though because it's a dub anyway, so whatever. It's just Ghibli, their films, they usually do a fantastic job with the English dub specifically, unlike every other films. But also there was I was just curious if you're going to watch the English one because there's some pretty recognizable actors in it, and I believe like Robert Pattinson voices one of them, and
oh really? That's
uh,
unfortunate.
yeah,
Okay.
but also the because they released in early maybe I can find the thing here the clip again, like they released an early fucking clip that shows his voice acting in it, his dub, and good fucking lord, it is
Okay.
so unrecognizable. It's just like god damn. Yeah,
I
here I found it
see.
right here. I'll send it to you in Discord DMs here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Cole, you're amazing as usual. Is your search for another member of our circle as progress or not really?
Uh, yeah, I don't really know of any. Like, I mean, there's many that could definitely, join here and there as guests, but permanent, member, I don't think so.
Okay, this is a bit unfortunate. I will keep digging on my side. Um, so yeah, Cole, you're amazing. Thank you for your
Yeah,
time. That
yeah,
was
thanks.
fun.
Yeah,
That
just
was fun.
remember though, it is a little while away, so I don't know, maybe I don't know, feel better by then. And when we lower a number of topics, maybe I can still do it. We'll see. But at least maybe the movie parts of it. I don't know about the show part.
Yeah, and I will tell you something backstage right after we are done. But yeah,
Oh, okay.
so yeah, do you want to add anything else before we close off?
No, that's about it.
Okay.